Hey everybody, it's Greg again from Campcraft Gospel Missions with today's Power Encounter. My last one, we took a trip back in time to Greg prior to being saved. Now this one we're going to talk about me being saved and an encounter I had afterwards that I was well aware was the Lord working in what everybody says mysterious ways, but the way we know that He does work for us. Working in my job, just dissatisfied. I was in a divorce situation still, sharing custody with my kid's mom, and by then I had come back from overseas and had my own home where I was raising the children, and got to the point my son needed to have some surgery. It was pretty serious surgery. He's got some rods and pins and everything in his spine. And the prognosis, while it was not certainly a terminal or life-threatening injury, there was a chance that it was going to take him several weeks, if not several months, to walk afterwards. The job I had at the time, I was a Secret Service agent. We travel a lot to support any of the presidents and a bunch of other things. So the idea of me having to take time off work while the time was available was really kind of frowned upon by my employer, who was not happy at the idea of me taking several months off. Combined with a bunch of other reasons, I just prayed on it, and for whatever reason, the Lord laid it upon me and to be at peace and to quit my job. And when I went in and told my boss I was going to quit, he was like congratulating me. Where are you going to go work? Thinking I had gotten another better paying job or better job someplace else. I said, as a matter of fact, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to spend time raising my children. And I was called weak. I needed to man up. I needed to not be afraid. No one could understand this concept, I guess, and that's why in the Secret Service, at least, there's a high divorce rate and a high rate of, marital difficulties. Anyways, I gave up what I thought was going to be permanently my career in law enforcement. Talked to Jason about it and said, this is really strange. This is the first time in life I've made a decision where I'm 100% at peace. So I quit my job. No income coming in, anything. I did take a couple months later, I was offered a contracting job doing pre-employment screening for federal employees. And my son's surgery went well. He was actually able to walk the day after he got out of the hospital, 100% unassisted. Wasn't on any pain meds. Everything went good. And of course, I give all the glory to the Lord for taking care of him and guiding the surgeon's hands during that surgery. This small contracting job came along and allowed me to spend time with my children, who were now middle school, high school age, and really help them through those formative, awkward years. We all know the teenage years. No matter how great a parenting you have, those years as a kid suck. So I was there for my kids, spent a lot of time with them. The problem is finances. I was still supporting a household and was quickly running out of money. I had no savings left. And I was communicating with Jason back and forth, and we just kept saying, just pray on it, pray on it. I had a friend contact me, and they had retired, and they basically started the homesteading experience. I was still living in a subdivision in a neighborhood and doing gardening and things, but they invited me up to Tennessee, and I politely declined. I was embarrassed. I didn't want to say, hey, I either buy groceries this week or I drive to Tennessee to hang out in the woods. They told me it was Father's Day weekend, and they said, listen, if you can get here for Father's Day, we'll feed you and the kids all weekend long, and I'll even give you gas money to get home. So off to Tennessee I went. Really enjoyed my time sharing the works, how God was working in our lives, not only my life but their life as well. And as I'm doing some hiking in the woods, I stumbled over what I thought was like a tree root exposed in the ground, kind of a rounded over thing in the ground. Started digging at it a little bit, and it was something shiny. No, it wasn't the pot of gold. I wish it would have been, but it was almost the pot of gold. As we dug it up, it was 1/4 inch, 6-inch diameter, 1/4 inch thick brass piping. What this was doing in the middle of the woods, I had no idea. So I finished digging it out, threw it in the back of the car and drove it home. We didn't know what to do with it. Got home, took it to the scrap yard, and the amount that this was, I got almost $500 in scrap money. That paid my utilities at that house for 3 months while I had no income coming in. Still no income. Surgery bills were piling up. I was able to, I'm paying things off, minimums here and there. And it get to the point, the job I was having doing background investigations, I had to have a security clearance from the government. Those of you that have not worked for the government, if you have a security clearance, it's relatively hard to get. It's easy to lose, and one of the ways you can lose it is have financial difficulties, foreclosures, bankruptcies, things like that on your credit. Once you lose it, it's very hard to get it back. Gets to the point, my son comes home, he would check the mail on his way home, and he hands me a letter. It's a letter from the mortgage company. Basically says, I believe it was a Wednesday that I got this letter, and it says, hey, if we don't have $2,600 by Monday, we're going to begin foreclosure proceedings. And at the time, the housing industry was, there was a demand for houses. If there wasn't a demand, sometimes the mortgage companies would let you stay in the house, hey, just keep it up while we're taking our time. Anyway, they wanted me out of the house within 30 days if they started foreclosure proceedings. Couldn't go to my job and say, hey, this is what's going on, because that would have affected my clearance. And I called Jason again, what do I do, what do I do? And he just said, pray as hard as you can pray. Shortly after that, I don't know anybody of you guys that's familiar with obviously Dave's Pathfinder School. Abe Butts, I don't think he's an instructor there anymore, but he was this teenage little bushcraft phenom that was out at Dave Canterbury's place. And I had met him at a bushcraft, at the Pathfinder gathering the same time I met Jason. Out of the blue, I got a message from Abe Butts that said, hey, I'm doing my Eagle Scout project, and I don't remember, he was doing a project to help the elderly. And I apologized, there was no way I could help him. And I disclosed, hey, I'm having some financial difficulties, and he said, brother, I'm going to pray for you. Which I thought was, while I appreciated it, I thought was very odd, because other than the Pathfinder gathering, I had had no contact with him. Armed with that knowledge, I was like, this is pretty serious. I should probably pray as hard as I prayed. Got down on my knees, literally underneath my kitchen table, put a towel over my head, and just started praying. Just, God, show me something. Show me a way I don't have to let my children down. And I felt warm. I started again sweating. Can't explain the feeling, electric feeling all through me. And I just kept hearing myself say, just show me a solution to this. And in my mind, to include, if I lost the house, that's fine. What was going to happen for my children so my children would be safe? Little while after that, there's a knock on the door. Now, this is the next day, so I think this was a Thursday. There's a knock on the door, and here's my son, again with mail. And he hands it to me, and he said, I don't know, this is a bill. And it was from his wisdom teeth doctor. He had his wisdom teeth pulled a year prior. And I thought, well, this is great. This is just going to be another bill that I can't pay. And God, I guess if you're showing me something and that this is another bill, this is all hope is lost. I opened it up, and there was a letter attached that said, after auditing our files, blah, 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 and the whole time I'm reading it, I'm thinking, here we go. This is, what do you want? Somebody else to suck some more money out of me. I had to read it a second time, and there was an error, and they had refunded me a check for $2,647. In that one instant, both my prayers were answered. Not only did I have my $2,600, but I also had $47 I could send to Abe Butts. As if that's not showing you the glory and the mercy and the greatness of God, about a year later, I decided I could go back to work full time. I went back into law enforcement. I went back to the Secret Service. And I thought, why do I feel at peace? I left at peace. Why do I feel at peace going back? And again, Jason, I don't know, maybe it's just time. God's telling you it's time to go back, it's time to go back. I actually went to a different office, so it was a different work environment. Really enjoying myself. Got my second real paycheck. So now I have had no income in, over a year, except finding scrap metal and this refund check. I was living out of town, coming back on weekends. My kids by now are old enough in high school. They were staying at my house during the week. And I get home and my son says, hey, we got some sort of letter back from the orthodontist. Again, I thought, well, this is strange. You sent me money last time. What is this? I opened it up, and again it says, on a further review of this audit, we found out we issued you this refund a year ago in error. You now owe us $2,647. Well, there's no way I could have paid that money back had I not went back to work, and just with a glad heart, I quick cut that check back. And it showed me, not only did God reward me tenfold, but it was a true loan from God. He doesn't just give stuff away. I was able to pay it back and level the playing field. And get back to raising my children and having a great life. Now both my kids are out of the house, doing their own thing, and again, only because of the grace of God and the prayers of others am I in the situation I am today. So again, if you're facing a desperate situation, don't give up. Pray as hard as you ever prayed. Reach out to people that you know are like-minded. We're all going to pray together. Reach out to one of us here at Campcraft. We'll pray with you. And just get out there, get after it, and create your own power encounter. This is Greg. Thanks again. God bless.